What's up, everybody? Welcome to Toco Loco RC. I'm super excited today because I just want to talk about some of my top 10 tips for beginner drivers if you are just not getting into RC, which is an exciting time. So I just want to kind of break down from my perspective some of the things that I wish I may have known before I got into RC racing. So hopefully some of these tips are going to help you kind of navigate and guide you into making more informed decisions. These are just my top 10. I'm no pro, but these are just some of the things that maybe I wish I had known before I got into the hobby. So this is going to be a breakdown of my top 10. Number one, I would say, is to first research your local tracks. Find out which tracks are near you before you go decide on buying your first vehicle. For example, I know that most tracks are going to offer e-buggy, for example, on a full-size track, whether that's a small track, medium, or large. Most tracks will offer a e-buggy if it's more of a 1A scale type track. If it's a smaller track, it might just be two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive buggy, for example. So that would be tip number one. Tip number two, I would suggest before you go buy a new car, I would also consider buying a used car just to make sure that you're going to be interested in the sport going further. Now, if money's not an issue, by all means, just go buy a new car. This is just my suggestion, is to buy used and to make sure you're going to enjoy the sport. Number three, I would say once you do get that new car or used car, is to take care of the car. Make sure your continually maintenance is ongoing, and make sure you clean out the car, whether that's diff oils, changing out shock oils, keeping the car clean, checking the bearings, things like that, is to keep the car clean before and after races. Number four, I would say, is to focus on one class in the beginning so you can get more proficient with that car, because going from a two-wheel drive to like a truggy, for example, is there's a big difference, or even from an e-buggy to a truggy, there's a big difference. So whatever you decide on going with, just try to get more efficient with that car first, and then as you get better with that car, more efficient, then you can probably move on to a second or even a third class. Tip number five, I would say, is to remain organized. Once you get into RC racing, you will realize that there are a lot of things needed to run this sport. You got batteries, you got tools, if you're running nitro, for example, you got fluids, the nitro fuel, you got starter boxes. So there's a lot of things that are involved with RC racing. It's a lot of small parts, screws, bearings. So just make sure you have an organization system, whether that's procuring some organization of bins or even a bag, and a combination of those things it's going to help you on race day, and also while you are maintaining your car throughout the weeks and pre and after races. Stay organized. Also, tip number six is once you do decide to go racing, don't be afraid to ask questions. There are a lot of veteran people out there. There are a lot of skilled people, skilled drivers that know a lot of information about RC racing. So don't ever be afraid to ask. Most fellow drivers are very willing to help you get better. So just don't be afraid to ask questions. There's plenty of forums as well on Facebook that you can check out to get more informed information. Tip number seven, I would say, is just to make sure you have a good set of tools. You will be using your tools a lot, especially when it comes to maintenance. So you want to make sure get your hands on a good set of tools. MIP MIPS is pretty popular, or MIP is pretty popular. When I first got started, I still have these and I still use them. However, I did move over to I really like the Aeromax. Aeromax tools, you can actually replace this. There's a grow up screw in here, and you can actually remove this and buy different tips. So that's the one thing I like about Aeromax. You can replace the tips, and there are other brands. I think ProTech has a set, and there's some other brands too. These right here, once they're done, they're done. The MIP. It can be kind of expensive, so just make sure you are mindful of your budget. once you realize you do like this sport, you're probably going to want to start traveling to other tracks. And some tracks can be like 2 hours away, 4, 6 plus, and so on and so on. And so with that being said, with travel, gas, food, this sport can become very expensive very fast. So I'm not just saying this to discourage you. I'm just saying this to give you a heads up that if you don't have quite a few local tracks in your area, you will be traveling if you want to continue to expand your experiences in RC. Number 9, I would say, is to make sure whenever you're going to have a race to prepare for that race. Like if you know you have a race a week or 2 out, go ahead and start making sure those cars are good to go for those races, because you don't want to be scrambling before race day, trying to clean your car and stuff like that. And so just make sure you're prepping your cars, whether that's changing out the oils, checking the shock oils, making sure your tires are good to go, and little things like that can go a long way, so you're not scrambling on race day. Once you do get and then tip number 10, once it is race day, make sure you're well rested. And because most race days are long days, so that means you're waking up like 5, 6 a.m. sometimes earlier to get to the track. And then once you're there, you're going to be racing all day. Most race programs take all day. What I mean by that, a race day can start at 8 and not end until midnight and on. So in between racing and marshalling, it's a long day. So just make sure you are prepared for that. So those are my top 10 tips if you are a new RC racer, and I hope those tips have been helpful. If you guys have any comments, please comment below some of your experiences that you might want to share with fellow drivers. And until next time, thank you for watching.